Station Meridian 7 floated in the darkness between three dying stars. It was old, ugly, and held together by repairs made across 500 years. But it was home to the Galactic Coalition Academy, where young beings from 12 different worlds came to learn how to keep peace in the galaxy. Park hated it when she first arrived. She was 22 years old, born in a small coastal town on Earth where the sea met green mountains. Space stations had no sea, no wind, no rain. Everything smelled like recycled air and metal. The lights were always the same dull white, and the food tasted like someone had described real food to a machine that had never eaten anything. Humans were new to the coalition. Earth had only made contact with other species 15 years ago, and most aliens still looked at humans the way humans looked at children trying to sit at the adult table. Promising, they said, but unproven, too emotional, too attached to small things. Learned to ignore the looks. She trained harder than anyone else. She studied alien languages until her head hurt. She earned her place through sweat and sleepless nights. But she was lonely. That changed on a cold evening in her first year, when she found her crying in the empty library. They were strange and beautiful. They stood almost 7 feet tall with bodies that looked like they were made of living glass. You could see through them, see the soft blue light that moved through their veins like slow rivers. They spoke with words but also with light. Their bodies would glow in patterns that showed their feelings. Happy sparkled, sad ones went dim. This one was barely glowing at all. "Are you okay?" asked. They looked up. Her face was long and delicate, with large dark eyes that held no whites. Tears ran down her translucent cheeks like drops of starlight. "I am fine," she lied. "Please go away." Sat down next to her instead. She said, "I'm human, and I'm also not fine, so maybe we can be not fine together." That was how she met. Was everything was not. She was gentle where was fierce. She was patient where was quick to anger. She came from a species of healers and scholars, beings who had not fought a war in 10,000 years. They believed that violence was a disease of the mind, something to be cured rather than celebrated. This made a target. The academy trained peacekeepers, but peacekeepers still needed to know how to fight. Combat classes were required. Physical tests were brutal, and species like the tall reptilian warriors who saw strength as the only virtue enjoyed watching weaker beings fail. Failed often. She was not built for fighting. Her glass-like body broke easily. Her reflexes were slow. Her instinct when attacked was to protect, not to strike. The instructors graded her poorly. Other cadets mocked her. They called her dim light and walking target. But saw what others missed. Was brilliant. Her mind worked like a supercomputer, seeing patterns in chaos, finding solutions that others could not imagine. In tactical simulations, she could predict enemy movements 3 steps ahead. She understood every species in the coalition, their cultures, their weaknesses, their fears. She would have made the greatest strategist the Academy had ever seen, if anyone had bothered to look. "Why do you stay?" asked one night. They were sitting on a small bed, sharing a bottle of something sweet that had brought from her. "You could go home, study somewhere else. Somewhere they would appreciate you." His body glowed soft gold, the color of sadness mixed with hope. "Because I want to prove that strength is not only in muscles and claws," she said. "I want to show the galaxy that gentle beings can stand beside warriors, that we have value too." Took her hand. Skin was cool and smooth like touching water. "Then we'll prove it together," said. "I'll be your muscle, you'll be my brain. Anyone who messes with you will have to go through me first." Laughed, and her body sparkled with pink and white light. "Humans are strange," she said. "You form bonds so quickly, so deeply. Other species think it makes you weak." "Maybe it does," admitted. "But I'd rather be weak and have friends than strong and alone." 3 years passed like water through fingers. They studied together, trained together, ate together, dreamed together. taught how to throw a punch, even though was terrible at it, taught how to read alien body language, how to spot lies, how to calm angry beings with words instead of fists. They made other friends too. Lee, another human cadet with a quick smile and quicker mind. Instructor Myra, an old woman with gray hair and hands that had broken more bones than she could count. A few aliens who saw past their species and recognized kindred spirits. But N were the heart of it all. Two beings from opposite ends of the galaxy, bound by something deeper than blood. The trouble started when Commander arrived. He was old for his kind, with scales the color of dried blood and eyes like yellow poison. He had fought in 3 wars and killed more beings than he could remember. The Academy brought him in to improve combat training. What he really improved was cruelty. His favorite cadets were the meanest. His favorite target was anyone who showed weakness, and with her gentle light and peaceful heart was the weakest thing he had ever seen. The dim one, he called her in front of everyone, the glass that will shatter. Wanted to kill him, but always held her back. Violence is what he wants, whispered, her body flickering with fear. Do not give him the satisfaction. So stayed quiet. She clenched her fists and bit her tongue and dreamed of the day she would graduate and take far away from this place. She never got the chance. On the last day of their 3rd year, the announcement came. The annual Crucible tournament was beginning, and its name was on the list. The Crucible tournament was a tradition older than the Academy itself. Every year, cadets fought in single combat to prove their worth. Winners earned honor, better assignments, faster promotions. Losers earned nothing but bruises and shame. The selection was supposed to be random. A computer picked names from every species, every skill level, but knew better. She had seen the way Commander smiled when his name appeared on the screen. She had seen his favorite cadet crack his clawed knuckles with hungry anticipation. This was no accident. You can refuse, said. They were in small room. The walls were covered with star maps and dried flowers that had brought from her. Just say no, take the expulsion. We'll figure something out. His body glowed a soft, steady blue, the color of acceptance. If I refuse, they win, she said. They will have proven that I do not belong here, that my people do not belong here. I cannot give them that. They will hurt you. I know. They might kill you. Reached out and touched his face. Her fingers were cool and gentle. Then I will die standing, she said, not running. Felt something break inside her chest, a small crack like the first line in ice before it shatters. She wanted to scream, to cry, to lock in this room and never let her out, but she knew her friend had made her choice. All could do was watch. The arena was a massive dome in the center of the station. It could hold 10,000 beings, and on tournament days, every seat was filled. Species of all kinds sat together, cheering and betting and drinking strange liquids. The air smelled like sweat and excitement and blood. Found a seat near the front, sat beside her, his face pale and tight. This is wrong, he muttered. Everyone knows this is wrong. Then why isn't anyone stopping it? He had no answer. The fight was scheduled for midday. Would face a warrior twice her size with scales like black armor and claws that could cut through steel. He had won every fight he had ever entered. His opponents usually surrendered within the first minute. The smart ones, anyway. Entered the arena wearing simple white clothes. Her body glowed soft pink, the color of fear trying to become courage. She looked small standing there, fragile, like a candle flame in a storm. Entered from the other side. The crowd roared. He raised his arms and showed his teeth in what his species called a smile. It looked like the expression of something that ate living things. Little light, he called across the sand, ready to go dark. Said nothing. She simply raised her hands in the defensive position had taught her and waited. The signal sounded. Did not rush forward. That was the first sign that something was wrong. Usually attacked immediately, using their size and speed to overwhelm enemies, but walked slowly, circling like a predator with a wounded animal. He was enjoying this. His first strike was lazy, almost gentle. It hit in the shoulder and sent her stumbling. The crowd laughed louder. "Is that all?" he mocked. "The humans taught you nothing." Stood back up. Her shoulder was already bruising, the damaged area turning dark inside her translucent body. Hit her again, and again. Each blow was harder than the last, but never hard enough to end the fight. He was not trying to win. He was trying to hurt, to humiliate, to make suffer as long as possible while the whole galaxy watched. Gripped the arms of her seat until her knuckles turned white. Beside her was whispering curses under his breath. In the stands, she could see other humans watching with clenched jaws and angry eyes. But no one moved. The rules were clear. Interference meant expulsion, meant prison sometimes. The tournament was sacred. She got up. She fell again. Her beautiful light was flickering now, going dim and bright in random patterns that meant pain, meant fear, meant please stop, please stop, please stop. The referee did nothing. Commander watched from his special seat, with satisfaction on his face. After 10 minutes, could no longer stand. She lay on the sand, her body broken in ways that made stomach turn. Her light was almost gone, just tiny sparks in the darkness of her damaged form. The fight should have ended there. The rules said that when an opponent could not continue, the winner was declared, but did not stop. He kicked once, twice, 3 times. "Weak," he said with each blow. "Pathetic, worthless." The third kick made a sound that would hear in her nightmares for the rest of her life. A wet crack, something inside breaking that was never meant to break. The crowd went silent. Did not remember leaving her seat. She did not remember climbing over the barrier. She did not remember running across the sand. One moment she was watching, and the next she was on her knees beside, cradling her friend's shattered body in her arms. "Stay with me, look at me, stay with me." His eyes opened slowly. Her light was barely visible now, just the faintest glow deep inside her chest. When she spoke, her voice was like wind through dead leaves. "They wanted to make you angry," she whispered. "Do not give them." She stopped, her eyes closed, her light went out. Medical teams rushed onto the sand. Someone pulled away, but she could not feel their hands. She could not feel anything. The world had turned gray and cold and far away. Later in the medical bay, a doctor told her the damage. Severe internal trauma, broken bones that could not regenerate, possible permanent damage to the neural pathways that created their light. Might never glow again. For that was worse than death. Their light was their voice, their emotion, their soul. Without it they were hollow, empty, a body without a spirit. Sat beside's bed all night. She did not cry. She did not speak. She did not move. She simply stared at her friend's dark, still form and felt something cold and heavy grow inside her chest. Found her at dawn. He brought food that she did not eat and words that she did not hear. But when he looked at her face, he stopped mid-sentence. Something in her eyes made him take a step backward. He said carefully, "What are you going to do?" She stood slowly. Her body felt like it belonged to someone else. Her voice, when it came, was steady and cold and completely without emotion. "I am going to invoke the blood right." His face went pale. "That is a death sentence." She looked at one last time. Her best friend, her sister, the gentle soul who had taught her that strength did not always mean violence. "Maybe," said, "but they will remember what they did, and they will pay for it. I will make sure of that." She walked out of the medical bay without looking back. The blood rite was ancient, older than the coalition, older than space travel, older than written history. They had created it thousands of years ago, back when they were still fighting wars with swords and teeth on their hot, red. The rules were simple. If someone caused you blood debt, a wound so deep that normal justice could not heal it, you could challenge them. Not just one enemy, but all of them. Every being who shared in the crime. You would fight them one after another with no rest between battles, no medical help, no mercy. You kept fighting until you won, surrendered, or died. The had included the blood right in coalition tournament rules as a matter of pride. They never imagined another species would be foolish enough to use it. What kind of creature would willingly face 7 trained warriors in a row? A human, as it turned out. The tournament council met in a cold gray room filled with screens and serious faces. Representatives from every species sat around a curved table, their expressions ranging from confusion to concern to badly hidden amusement. Stood before them alone. "You understand what you are asking," the head counselor said. He was an old being from a species did not recognize, with gray skin and too many eyes. "The blood right has not been invoked in 40 years. The last challenger died in the 3rd round." "I understand," said. "You will face Commander's entire squad, 7 warriors, each one larger and stronger than you, each one trained in combat since childhood." "I understand. You are human. Your species has never won a blood right challenge. You have no natural weapons, no armor, no venom or claws or thick scales." Looked at the counselor with eyes that held no fear, no doubt, no hesitation. "I understand," she said for the 3rd time. "Do you accept my challenge, or does the coalition consider the blood right just empty words?" The representative hissed with anger. Commander, standing behind him, let out a low laugh. "Let the human try," said. "It will be entertaining." The council voted. The challenge was accepted. News spread through the station like fire. Within hours, everyone knew. A human cadet had invoked the blood right against 7 warriors. The betting pools opened immediately. The odds against were the highest the station had ever seen. She did not care. She had 24 hours to prepare. 24 hours to turn herself from a promising cadet into something that could survive the arena. It was not enough time. It would never be enough time. But had stopped thinking about survival. She had started thinking about payment. The lower gymnasium was empty and dark. Old training equipment gathered dust in the corners. No one came here anymore. The machines were broken, the mats were torn, and the lights flickered every few minutes. It was perfect. Trained alone. She ran until her legs screamed. She punched the heavy bags until her knuckles split and bled. She practiced moves she had learned in 3 years of combat classes, then threw them away and practiced dirtier things. Things that were not allowed in tournaments. Things that were only allowed when you wanted to kill. She studied videos of every fight in coalition history. She memorized their movements, their weaknesses, the small gaps in their armor of scales. She learned where their nerves ran close to the surface, where their blood vessels were thin, where a small blade or a sharp finger could cause the most damage. She did not sleep. Near midnight, Instructor Myra found her. The old woman stood in the doorway for a long moment, watching destroy a practice dummy with savage precision. Then she walked slowly across the gymnasium floor, her footsteps echoing in the silence. "You know they will kill you," Myra said. "Did not stop her training, maybe." "Then why?" Paused, she looked at her hands. They were covered in blood and bruises, the knuckles swollen and raw. In the dim light of the gymnasium, she looked like something from a nightmare, something that had already died and come back wrong. "Because she is my friend," said. "Because no one else will make them pay. Because I want every species watching tomorrow to understand something important." "What?" Turned to face the old instructor. In her eyes, Myra saw something she had seen only once before, in the eyes of a soldier who had lost everything, and decided to take the enemy with her into darkness. "I want them to understand what happens when you hurt someone a human loves. I want them to know that we do not forget. We do not forgive, and we do not stop, ever. Myra was quiet for a long time, then she nodded slowly. Then let me help you, she said. You are fighting wrong, expect power, aggression, direct attacks. You cannot beat them at their own game. Then how? Myra smiled. It was not a kind smile. Humans are not strong, she said, but we are patient. We are enduring. Our ancestors hunted animals 20 times their size by following them for days until they collapsed from exhaustion. We are persistence predators, child. We do not need to be faster or stronger. We only need to refuse to stop. For the rest of the night, Myra taught secrets. How to breathe when every muscle screamed for rest. How to move when the body wanted to fall. How to keep fighting when the mind said it was impossible. How to turn pain into fuel and fear into focus. Outside the gymnasium, something strange was happening. Humans were gathering, cadets, instructors, workers, scientists, anyone with human blood in their veins. They did not speak. They did not cheer. They simply stood in the corridors outside the arena waiting. Other species noticed. They watched the silent vigil with confusion and growing unease. What were the humans doing? Why were they so quiet? Why did their eyes all hold the same cold, patient look? What are they waiting for? A young asked his commander. Watched the humans through a window. For the first time, something flickered behind his yellow eyes. Not fear, not yet, but something close to it. I do not know, he admitted, but I think tomorrow we will find out. Dawn came slowly. Finished her training as the first artificial lights brightened the station. Her body was broken in a dozen small ways. Her hands were wrapped in bloody bandages. Her eyes were hollow from lack of sleep. But when came to walk her to the arena, she was smiling. Are you ready? He asked. She looked at him, at the friend who had stood beside her for 3 years, who had never once doubted her or the strange bond they shared. No, she said honestly, but I am going anyway. Will you watch? Every second. They walked together through the corridors of Meridian 7, and as they walked, humans fell in step behind them. One by one, dozen by dozen, a silent army of soft-skinned, small-toothed, fragile beings who had crossed the stars and found their place among giants. The arena was waiting. 10,000 beings filled the arena. They came from every corner of the coalition, from worlds of ice and worlds of fire, from species that breathed oxygen and species that breathed poison. They sat together in the great dome, pressed shoulder to shoulder, all of them waiting to watch something that had not happened in 40 years. A blood right, a human challenger, 7 warriors. The betting pools had closed hours ago. The odds against were so high that most bookmakers had simply refused to take wagers. What was the point? The human would lose. Everyone knew she would lose. The only question was how quickly. Commander stood in the center of the arena, his scales gleaming under the bright lights. His squad of 7 warriors stood behind him in a perfect line. Was there, his black scales still carrying traces of blood. The others were just as large, just as armored, just as hungry. Today we witness the foolishness of lesser species, announced to the crowd. A human thinks she can challenge the warriors of. A human thinks her anger is a weapon. He paused and smiled, showing teeth like yellow knives. Let us teach her otherwise. The crowd roared. Throughout the arena stomped their feet and clashed their claws together. Other species joined in, caught up in the excitement. This was why they came. This was the blood sport they craved. Then entered. She walked through the far gate alone. No uniform, no armor, just simple black clothes and her bare hands wrapped in white bandages that were already spotted with old blood. She was small under the arena lights, barely 5 feet tall, with dark hair pulled back from a face that held no expression at all. The crowd noise faded. Something about her silence made the cheering feel wrong. She did not look afraid. She did not look angry. She looked empty, hollow, like something that had already accepted death and found it unimportant. In the stands, the humans watched without making a sound. "I am Park," she said. Her voice was calm and clear and carried to every corner of the arena. "I invoke the blood right for what was done to of the. I will fight until I win or I die. There will be no surrender." Commander laughed. "Bold words for such a small creature. Let us see if your actions match your tongue." He gestured, and the first warrior stepped forward. His name was. He was young for a, with bright red scales and the eager look of someone who expected an easy victory. His claws extended with a soft clicking sound. "I will try to make this quick," he said, out of mercy. Did not respond. She simply raised her wrapped fists and waited. The signal sounded. Charged, he was fast, faster than most species could follow. His claws slashed towards throat, a killing blow aimed at ending the fight in the first second. She was not there. Moved like water, sliding sideways just enough for the claws to miss. She did not strike back. She did not try to hurt him. She simply avoided and waited. Attacked again, and again, and again. Each time was somewhere else. She ducked under his arms, stepped around his charges, twisted away from his grabs. She was not faster than him. She was just always in the wrong place for his attacks to land. The crowd grew quiet with confusion. "Stand still and fight," shouted. His scales were darkening with frustration. His breathing was becoming heavy. Said nothing, she just kept moving. Minutes passed. Attacks grew slower, sloppier. He was not used to enemies who did not fight back, who did not give him something to hit. His kind were built for short, brutal battles. They won through overwhelming power in the first moments. They were not built for this. After 7 minutes, stumbled. His legs were shaking. His lungs were burning. He had spent everything he had trying to catch a human who refused to be caught. Moved. Her fist hit the nerve cluster behind his jaw with perfect precision. It was a spot had shown her, late one night when they were studying alien anatomy, a place where nerves came close to the surface, a place that, when struck correctly, would drop even the strongest warrior. Vel. The arena went silent. 10,000 beings stared at the small human standing over the fallen warrior. She was not even breathing hard. One said. The second and third warriors came together, ignoring the rules that said they should fight alone. No one stopped them. The blood right allowed anything. Face them both without complaint. These fights were harder. She could not avoid everything. A claw raked across her arm, opening a long red wound. A tail struck her ribs with a crack that the whole arena heard. She stumbled. She bled. She gasped for breath. But she did not fall. Every time they knocked her down, she got back up. Every time they cut her, she kept moving. Every time they thought they had won, she found a weakness and struck with precision that seemed impossible for such a broken body. The second warrior fell to a blow to the throat. The third fell to a strike to the back of the knee, followed by a chokehold that lasted until he stopped struggling. 2, 3. Blood ran down his face from a cut above her eye. Her left arm hung at a strange angle, possibly broken. Her breathing was rough and wet, suggesting something wrong inside her chest. She did not ask for rest. She did not look at the medical teams waiting at the edge of the arena. She simply turned toward the remaining warriors and waited. In the stands, gripped his seat with white knuckles. "How is she still standing?" a beside him whispered. "Because she is human," said. "Our ancestors used to hunt animals by following them for days until they collapsed from exhaustion. We do not win by being strong. We win by refusing to stop." The fourth and fifth warriors were careful. They had seen what happened to the others. They did not charge blindly. They circled, tested, looked for openings. It did not matter. Fought like something from a nightmare. She was slower now, clearly hurt, clearly at the edge of her endurance. But there was something terrible in her eyes, something that said she had already decided to die and simply had not gotten around to it yet. The fourth warrior fell with a dislocated shoulder, and a face full of sand that had thrown in his eyes. The fifth fell to a series of strikes to the same spot on his side, hitting the same bruise over and over until something inside him broke. 4-5. Swayed on her feet. Her white bandages were completely red now. She was a small figure painted in her own blood, standing in the center of the arena like a ghost that refused to fade. Stepped forward. The warrior who had broken, the one who had laughed while he destroyed her friend piece by piece. His black scales seemed to absorb the arena lights. His yellow eyes held nothing but contempt. "You should have stayed in the stands, human," he said. "Watched like the weak thing you are." His empty expression changed. For the first time since entering the arena, something flickered in her eyes. Rage. "You hurt my friend," she said. Her voice was soft, broken, barely audible. "You hurt her because you could, because you thought no one would stop you, because you thought she was weak and alone and had no one to fight for her." She raised her broken fists. "You were wrong." The fight with was nothing like the others. There was no patience, no waiting, no careful avoidance. Attacked with everything she had left. She took his blows without trying to dodge. She let his claws tear her flesh. She let his fists break her body. And she kept coming. Every wound she took, she gave one back. Every time he knocked her down, she rose and hit him again. She was smaller, weaker, slower. She should have been dead 10 times over. But humans were not built to win fights. They were built to refuse to lose them. His confidence cracked first, then his composure, then his strength. He had never faced an enemy who did not seem to care about pain, about blood, about death itself. He had never faced something that looked at its own destruction and simply did not stop. When he finally fell, stood over him with blood dripping from her hands. 6, she whispered. One warrior remained, the finest fighter in a generation, undefeated, untouchable, and visibly afraid. His name was. He was the pride of the people, the perfect warrior, undefeated in tournament history, with scales like polished steel and muscles built through a lifetime of combat. He had been trained since he could walk, shaped into a weapon by the finest masters of his world. Every species in the coalition knew his name. He had never known fear. Until now. Looked at the human standing in the center of the arena. She was barely upright. Her left eye was swollen shut. Blood ran down her face, her arms, her legs in rivers of red that stained the sand beneath her feet. One arm hung broken at her side. Her breathing was a horrible wet sound that suggested damaged lungs. By every measure, she was already dead. Her body just had not accepted it yet. "You can surrender," said. His voice held no mockery, no contempt, only confusion. "You have proven your point. No one will think less of you." Looked at him with her one working eye. The rage that had burned during her fight with was gone. In its place was something worse, something calm and cold and absolutely certain. "I told you," she said, "no surrender." She raised her broken fists. Attacked. He was fresh where she was destroyed, strong where she was weak, fast where she was slow. His first blow hit her square in the chest and sent her flying backward. She hit the sand hard, rolled, and struggled to rise. He hit her again before she could stand. "Stay down," he said. There was something like pleading in his voice. "This is enough. You have nothing left to prove." Got up. He hit her 3 more times. Each blow should have ended the fight. Each impact echoed through the silent arena. The crowd had stopped cheering long ago, even the watched in uncomfortable silence. This was not sport anymore. This was something else. Got up every time. "Why?" demanded. He stood over her as she struggled to her knees, her blood pooling beneath her. "Why will you not stop? What is wrong with you?" She looked up at him. Her face was a mask of blood and bruises, barely recognizable as human, but her eye was clear, focused, alive. "You want to know what is wrong with me," she said. "I am human. We chased mammoths across frozen plains until they collapsed from exhaustion. We followed deer for days without rest until they simply could not run anymore. We are not strong. We are not fast. We do not have claws or scales or venom. She pushed herself to her feet. It took a long time. Every moment seemed impossible, but she stood. We have something else, she continued. We do not stop, ever. You can break us, you can hurt us, you can kill us, but you cannot make us quit. That is what is wrong with me. That is what is wrong with all of us. In the stands, leaned forward and whispered to the alien beside him. This is why the galaxy should fear us, he said. Not because we are strong, because we do not know when to give up. Looked at the human in front of him. She was a small, broken, bleeding thing. She could barely stand. She could not win. But for the first time in his life, he understood that winning might not matter. He attacked again, but something was different now. His strikes came slower. His movements held hesitation. He had never faced an opponent he could not intimidate, could not discourage, could not break. The foundation of his entire life, the belief that strength was everything, was cracking beneath him. Saw it, even through the pain, even through the exhaustion. She saw the moment his certainty failed. And she struck. Not with power. She had none left, not with speed. Her body was too broken. She struck with precision, with knowledge, with 3 years of studying beside a who understood exactly where every species kept their weaknesses. Her fist hit the gap between 2 scales on his neck, the spot where a nerve cluster sat just beneath the surface, the place that had marked in her medical texts, the place she had said could drop even the strongest if hit correctly. His eyes went wide. He fell. The arena was completely silent. 10,000 beings sat frozen, unable to process what they had just witnessed. A human, a small female human covered in blood and barely alive, had defeated 7 warriors. The undefeated champion lay at her feet. Stood in the center of the arena, swaying like a tree in a hurricane. Her body had nothing left. Her vision was going dark at the edges. She could feel herself dying, feel her systems shutting down one by one. But she was not done. She turned slowly, looking up at the stands, looking at Commander, whose yellow eyes had gone wide with something she had never seen on a face before. Fear. This, said. Her voice was barely a whisper, but in the silence everyone heard it. This is what happens when you hurt someone a human loves. This is what we become. This is why you should never make an enemy of us. She paused, drew a breath that rattled in her broken chest. Remember this day. Tell your children, tell your children's children, we are not strong, we are not fast, we are not special. Her eye found the medical bay monitors, showing the room where lay in darkness. But we love completely, and we do not forget. She collapsed. The silence lasted 3 heartbeats. Then from the human section of the stands a sound began. Not cheering, something slower, a rhythm, a beat. A heartbeat. Clapping steady and slow. Every human in the arena, every human on the station joining in the same pulse. They were not celebrating. They were acknowledging. They were saying, we see you. We are with you. You are one of us. Other species watched in confusion and dawning understanding. This was not sport. This was not entertainment. This was a message, a promise, a warning. Do not hurt the people we love. Woke 3 weeks later in the medical bay. She could not see from her left eye. She could not move her right arm. She could not walk without pain that made her want to scream. But she woke. And was there. Sat beside her bed, her body glowing soft gold. Not bright, not like before, but there, still alive in the way that mattered. You are an idiot, said. Her voice was weak, but her eyes were warm. A complete and total idiot. Tried to smile, it hurt. Probably, she admitted, but you are my friend. Took her hand. Her skin was cool and smooth like touching water. The blood right has been removed from tournament rules, said. Commander has been reassigned to a monitoring station in empty space, has been expelled. The Coalition Council is reviewing all cases of tournament abuse. Good. The humans call you a hero. Other species call you a monster. They call you a warning to future generations. Closed her eye. What do you call me? Light flickered. Soft colors moved through her body, pink and gold and white and blue, the colors of love and gratitude and sorrow and hope. My friend, she said, my family, the person who taught me that gentle things can have sharp edges when they need them. They sat together in the quiet medical bay, two beings from opposite ends of the galaxy, one broken, one healing, both changed forever. Outside, the universe continued. Ships flew between stars. Species traded and talked and sometimes fought. The Coalition kept an uneasy peace between worlds that had little in common except the desire to survive. But something had shifted, something small but important. When aliens looked at humans now, they did not see just the soft skin and blunt teeth and weak muscles. They saw something else. They saw the arena. They saw the blood. They saw the small human who refused to fall. Years later, new cadets would arrive at the academy. They would walk past a memorial plaque in the arena, a simple metal square that told the story of what had happened there. What is that about? A young would ask his instructor. The instructor, older now and wiser, would touch the scar on his face. The scar a human had given him, and he would look at the human cadets walking past with their soft smiles and their gentle eyes. A lesson, he would say quietly, about what humans will do for love. And he would walk away, leaving the young cadet to read the words on the plaque. She did not fight for honor. She did not fight for glory. She fought because they hurt her friend. And she made this arena their tomb. In memory of the blood rite of Station Meridian 7. Let all who read this remember. Do not hurt the people humans love.